Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Suburban Rifleman. I just became aware of something today, and I'd like to talk a little bit about it. I've been making preparations for the upcoming shooting season. I've been working on a few projects around here, getting some things ready. I have a bunch of ideas for shooting videos I'd like to do. And one rifle I want to feature in a couple of videos this upcoming season is our old Colt match target H-bar, the MT6700. This particular rifle has been around since about the mid-1990s. I think my dad bought this in 1995 or 1996. I think I may have helped goad him into that purchase. I certainly didn't have money to buy an AR-type rifle myself back in those days, and this was, in fact, the very first AR-type rifle that I had ready access to. It was a little disappointing when we got it. These things, as many of you probably already know, when they came from the Colt factory, they were match rifles or target rifles, really in name only. These were building blocks upon which to create a target rifle. And so my dad, not one to do things by half measures, sent the rifle off about 25 years ago to Compass Lake Engineering down in Florida. Compass Lake is right up there with White Oak Armaments. They're probably the two biggest names in building match rifles, competition-winning match rifles. And Compass Lake did a whole bunch of things to this rifle. They free-floated the forearm. They installed a really nice, crisp, two-stage match trigger. I'm guessing it's about 3 pounds, something like that. Nice and light and crisp. I think they lapped the barrel. They clearly did a bunch of work to the bolt. I think they trued up the bolt lugs and things like that. And when we got the rifle back, it was a fantastic shooter. But for one reason or another, it's pretty much just been languishing for 25 years in the back of the gun room. And this year I thought it would be really fun to take the Colt H-bar out and try doing some long-range shooting with it and see just exactly what it's capable of. I think it's mostly just been shot at 100 yards, maybe 200 yards, but I'd like to stretch that out a little bit further. So I took the detachable carry handle off of it. It had a National Match rear sight on it, but I wanted to put an optic on it. So I bought this Nikon P Tactical. This is a 3-9x40. It has Nikon's Mark I MRAD reticle in it, so it's graduated in milliradii. It's a great ranging reticle, and I just have it set up in a Weaver. I mean, none of this stuff is particularly expensive. I wanted to do this as affordably as possible, but with quality components. So I've got a Weaver one-piece base and rings. It's cantilevered slightly forward to give proper eye relief. And I bought that stuff back in the summer. I was hoping maybe to get into shooting this year, but that didn't happen for one reason or another. And actually, I just finally ended up mounting the base and the rings and the scope onto the rifle today. And it seems like a really good setup. And I've been looking this scope over. I obviously haven't had a chance to shoot it yet, but I've been looking this scope over, and it really looks like a very nice scope. And I have quite a bit of experience with Nikon rifle scopes. I'm a very loyal Nikon customer in general. Over the last 30 years or so, I've owned Nikon cameras and lenses and rangefinders and binoculars and several Nikon rifle scopes. And in looking at this, I thought, this is a pretty nice setup. It didn't cost a lot of money, and I got the idea that maybe it would be a good idea to get a smaller, lighter variable, maybe in lower power, maybe a 2 to 7 by 32 or a 1 to 4 by 24 scope to put on a different flat top upper, like for instance, this 16-inch mid-length gas system upper that I have. This is one that I built a few years ago. It's a Delton heavy barrel on a fairly cheap Anderson lightweight upper, but it's a flat top. And right now I've got this Burris 32 millimeter red dot on here and a military surplus Mattek backup iron sight. And this is a great, sort of close quarters combat type setup, but I would like to see how this thing can possibly shoot at longer ranges as well. So I started thinking maybe it'd be a great idea to get a lower powered, smaller Nikon scope from either this series, the P Tactical, or the slightly higher M Tactical from Nikon. And I've had great luck with Nikon scopes in the past. So I started looking around at some of the places where I would usually buy optics, and I did find quite a few Nikon scopes for sale, and the stock is a little bit low. Most of the stuff is sold out, and initially I chalked that up to the fact that just about everything firearms related is sold out right now. You can't get ammunition, you can't get reloading components, you can't get gun parts, you can't buy whole guns. But there were a few scopes available, and I was looking at them, and but there's different reticles. There is the Mark I MRAD reticle, as in this scope. There's the Mark I minute of angle reticle. I think Nikon also was making just regular mil dot reticles. So I thought, why don't I go over to Nikon's website and look at the specs, look at all the features of the various scopes. That will help me decide kind of what I want to buy. And so I went to the Googles. I Googled it up. The first scope I was looking at, and one of my Google search results was a link to Nikon's corporate website, and I went there and no scope. It just took me to Nikon's Sport Optics webpage. So I went back to Google, typed in another scope that I was looking at. Sure enough, one of the search results was from Nikon's corporate website. I clicked on the link, and again, no scope. So I started looking around Nikon's Sport Optics page, and I was seeing spotting scopes, and rangefinders, and binoculars, and no rifle scopes. And I thought, that's kind of strange. Now, of course, I'm always late to the party. This is maybe not news to some of you, but it was news to me. So I went back to Google, and I Googled, did Nikon stop making rifle scopes? And guess what? About a year ago, they announced, or there were rumors about a year ago, that they were in fact going to stop making rifle scopes. And a little bit less than a year ago, there was confirmation of that fact. The sales arm of Nikon in the United States, or I guess in North America, announced that they were in fact withdrawing from the rifle scope market. And originally, I was disappointed to see that. And originally, I kind of chalked that up to the fact that for years and years, the reason I've owned quite a few Nikon rifle scopes is that they were built to a very high standard. They used very good glass. They had great clarity, great other optical qualities, and they were very, very affordable. Now, I do realize that over the last 10 years or so, there has been a very growing amount of competition in this range. There are other companies like Vortex and Primary Arms that have been coming out specifically with tactical scopes that are built to a very high standard, have very reasonable prices, and use quality glass. So I thought, well, maybe Nikon simply can't compete in the marketplace anymore, and that's why they're withdrawing. And while that certainly would have been unfortunate, it wouldn't have kind of annoyed me as much as what I think actually happened. Because as I went back to Nikon's corporate website and started looking around a little bit more, I found that there was absolutely no mention of rifle scopes whatsoever anywhere on the website. I couldn't find anything. As a matter of fact, using Nikon's own search engine, I can't find one single result on their entire website that even has the word rifle in it. There's no corporate announcement talking about that they're regretfully withdrawing from the rifle scope market. There's no mention of warranties. There's no mention of continuing to offer support for their rifle scopes. Now, I don't have any reason to believe that Nikon's not going to stand by their warranty, that they're not going to service rifle scopes. But basically, what it looks like is that Nikon completely nuked their website altogether. They went scorched earth and completely removed any traces of rifle scopes whatsoever from their website. If you went and looked at it today, you would never even know that they had ever made rifle scopes. Now, I'm a big fan of several different companies, and some of the ones that I enjoy the most have really great websites. When they discontinue a product, a lot of companies will move those products into their archive area. You'll be able to find PDF downloads of users' manuals and spec sheets and all sorts of other things like that. But on Nikon's website, there's absolutely nothing. The word rifle doesn't even appear anywhere on their website. And that's a little disconcerting, because that to me doesn't look like a market-driven decision to get out of rifle scope manufacture. It looks to me more like a political decision. And this is something that's happening more and more often with corporate entities. And of course, it's a corporation's right to decide we don't want to make something anymore. But to do it in a manner where it looks like you're basically abandoning your long-standing customers for years and years and years, I think that's kind of cowardly. And it kind of makes me not want to buy, obviously, a Nikon rifle scope. I was thinking about purchasing one. There, as I said, there's still quite a few of them out there available on a retail basis. But furthermore, if this was in fact a political decision, and I would love to know if anybody out there has any inside knowledge, I would love to hear, what Nikon's decision-making process involved in making this move. But if it's true that they stopped making rifle scopes for political reasons, I'm not sure I want to buy anything more from Nikon. There are, as I already mentioned, companies like Vortex and Primary Arms and a number of others that are producing good quality, affordable scopes at this point. But I'm certainly not going to end up buying a Nikon scope, even though I'm fairly impressed with this one, to go on another rifle, because who knows if parts are going to be available or whatever in the future. But I just think it's really, really unfortunate. And if it was a political move, it's kind of a kick in the sack to somebody like me who has been a very loyal Nikon customer for years. But whatever the reasoning is behind this move, I'm really sorry to see Nikon scopes go. Now, I'm not the type to cut off my nose to spite my face. I'm not going to screw Nikon and start throwing, selling off all my Nikon scopes. For goodness sake, I haven't even shot this one yet, and I'm really looking forward to doing so. But it's just a shame to see a huge company like Nikon. Now, I know the camera business has not been very good, but from all indications, scope sales are very good. Sporting optics sales are very good. I did a little bit of research today. It looks like the rifle scope market in North America tallies up to about a $600 million industry per year. And Nikon was a fairly large player in that marketplace. So again, I don't know what their motives were, but I am really sad to see it go. I won't be buying a Nikon rifle scope. I guess I'll be looking at a Primary Arms or a Vortex or something like that. And there's a couple of other new companies that are out there. I'm going to have to do my research if I want to get a scope for this other flat top upper. But it's just a shame to see a company that's been around for so long and with which I've had such good luck just kind of dry up and disappear. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on it. If you have any thoughts or any inside knowledge, please feel free to comment in the comment section down below. I'm definitely working on some new content. I'll hopefully be posting a few things fairly soon. When I do that, I hope to see each of you here then. Later, guys.